Well, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina. Temperature right at 60 degrees. Very little wind. Nothing but blue skies in the Tar Heel State. Mike Smith, 54 years old, is 58 wins his first 5 years in the NFL as a head coach. Only George Seifert has won more games than Mike Smith. And on the other side of the ledger, last time we were here, Brian, the Panthers were 0-2 under Ron Rivera. They were talking about him losing his job even during this season. And now they've won 4 out of 5.
It's stunning the difference in the emotional tenor of this Carolina Panther team from that month ago, Tom. Understandable, but noticeably different.
Well, the Panthers have won the toss and chose to defer until the second half. So we'll get a look right from the get-go at this Atlanta offense. Rodgers waiting back on the kickoff. We're inside the NFC South. Panthers and the Falcons are underway. And boom, through the back of the end zone. And here comes 28-year-old Philadelphia, Pennsylvania native Matt Ryan. Been the starter since day one of his rookie year. Has helped lead the Falcons to the playoffs in 4 of his 5 years as quarterback, and only Dan Marino and Peyton Manning have thrown more touchdowns in their first 5 seasons as an NFL quarterback than Matt Ryan. Big story again for the 3rd straight week. Atlanta without Roddy White, nursing a tender hamstring, a sore ankle, and of course they're without Julio Jones for the remainder of the year. Looking to start the running game, and this is Steven Jackson. He returned last week in Arizona, and he's up to the 25. 2nd and 5. White tried to give it a go. There was talk he'd be ready.
Well, Mike says there's no one tougher than Roddy White. He very much wanted to go, but they could tell both in practice and today it just wasn't going to respond the way it needed to for him to be on the field.
4-time Pro Bowler. Owns virtually every Falcons franchise receiving record. 2nd down and 5, and Jackson again. And dropped behind the line of scrimmage. K'Wan Short, the rookie out of Purdue, on the stop. Talked about no Jones, no White. So what are you looking at?
Well, it starts in the middle with Peter Kahns. He's moved to center and has struggled. They do get Sam Baker back, and they've got to get Steven Jackson cranked up. And Harry Douglas, absent of Roddy White, has to now become that #1 receiver on the outside.
And he's delivered the goods the last 2 weeks. First time in his career he's had back-to-back 100-yard receiving games. Dropped off to Jackson out of the backfield, and he is denied the first down. An extra push there at the end, and we'll see if they spot it on forward progress. It looked like they did back at the 29-yard line, and you hear the crowd, Luke, as in Luke Kuechly, the 22-year-old Cincinnati native, the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year a season ago. So 3 and out for Atlanta. And now the always dangerous Ted Ginn Jr., who's returned 3 punts for touchdowns in his career. Waiting on the punt for Matt Bosher. Wow. And Ginn is absolutely leveled at the 30-yard line. And somehow, some way, he gets up.
Well, I'm not sure he knew how close Robert Alford was to him, because he just gets blown up. Again, you're looking up, you don't know how it's breaking down, and you can see Alford right here. He actually gets run into. I thought it was Alford that ran into him, but actually Melvin White gets pushed right into Ginn and delivers the damage.
It's bad enough when the other team's trying to hit you. Taking a look at Ginn, you saw White was very slow to get up. So now Atlanta with a foot on defense, and Carolina with the ball behind quarterback Cam Newton. And they set up the screen to D'Angelo Williams, and that is gain of close to 10 on first down. Well, Newton playing the best football of his career right now, at least over a 3-game stretch. He's ran for a pair of touchdowns, thrown 6 of them. Carolina as a team has not turned it over in 3 consecutive wins.
Well, outside of that 3 interception game he had against Arizona, Tom, Cam Newton has been near perfect in terms of not turning the ball over, managing this run-oriented offense, which I know quarterbacks hate that term, but he's really matured as a quarterback in that area.
2nd and a yard. And Newton will keep it himself and drop for a loss. Back at the 38-yard line, it brings up 3rd down and 3 now. You know about the stars, Williams and Smith and all those guys, but we're going to see some different pieces as this Carolina offense continues to evolve. They have the return today of Jonathan Stewart. Ted Ginn has been a big part of their offense. And on 3rd down, you'll see Mike Tolbert.
And it doesn't seem fair, but they've got Jonathan Stewart back in the lineup. It's an embarrassment of riches in the running game for Carolina.
Blitz coming. And Newton is sacked all the way back at the 32-yard line. It looked like Jonathan Massaquoi was the first Falcon to get him.
Well, just pressure on the inside. We said to begin that Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, said the key was you got to get him off the field on 3rd down. That's obviously very obvious to say something like that, but particularly on a 3rd and short. Carolina is so dynamic. That's a big win early for Atlanta Falcons defense.
Van Norman to punt it, and Robert McLean waiting on it. Out of room for McLean. He'll play it off 1 bounce across the 20 and up to the 27-yard line. 3 and out the first time for Matt Ryan and the Falcons. Round 2 when we return.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Each team with a possession, each team with a 3 and out, but that's been commonplace for these 2 defenses, at least in the opening quarter this season.
That's a great way to start these games, and so far both defenses are delivering.
Steven Jackson, all those great years. St. Louis, 9 of them, rushed for better than 1,000 yards in every season, but has been injured this year. His first with Atlanta. Carolina defensively among the best in the NFL.
It is. It starts with the front 7. Charles Johnson leads the team in sacks. Star Lotulelei inside is absolutely unmovable. Luke Kuechly, maybe the best inside linebacker in the game. And Mike Mitchell on the back end, getting a lot of press. But so far, he's living up to it. He's turned into a turnover machine.
2nd down and 9 into traffic, and it's intercepted. Luke Kuechly with a football. And the first turnover of the game comes on Atlanta's 2nd possession. There is a penalty flag down right at the 30-yard line. But Kuechly getting his 3rd interception so far this year.
There is no foul for a blindside block as a block occurred into the player's shoulder. The interception stands up. It will be Carolina's ball. 1st down.
You've got to watch Luke Kuechly here and how he drags with the tight end, Tony Gonzalez. It's very vogue in this league to deliver a ball down the seam to the tight end just over the helmet of the trailing linebacker. Luke Kuechly says, you know what? I've been watching film. I know how you do that. I'm going to anticipate this and yank this thing down before Tony Gonzalez can get his hands on it.
Of course, Matt Ryan is coming off one of the worst games in his career last Sunday in Arizona. He threw 4 interceptions, was sacked 4 times. He put it up a career-high 61 times. And an early interception in Carolina with a football at the Falcon 39.
This is typically where an offense might take a shot down the field to the end zone.
Well, the intended receiver, Steve Smith. Well, bad blood between these 2 teams, and normally that is the case between division rivals. Last year they split a couple of games. Ryan was really beat up in the win. They had some choice words for some of the Carolina defenders in the 2nd game. Words continue to be exchanged even after it was over.
Yeah, and you saw Ron Rivera get after Greg Hardy there. We saw the game against the St. Louis Rams denigrate into a slugfest. Ron Rivera doesn't want that to happen today between these two rivals.
Greg Olsen, the tight end, and he is tackled close to the 31-yard line and brings up 3rd down and 2. We talked about some of the extra pieces of this Carolina offense today.
And that's been the key. Mike Tolbert in conjunction with D'Angelo Williams. They get Jonathan Stewart back. We mentioned that. And Greg Olsen obviously is a counterbalance to Steve Smith on the outside. But Brandon LaFell's the guy they keep talking about. They think he's really matured into a legitimate number 2 opposite Steve Smith.
False start. Offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
So 3rd and 2, Brian, becomes 3rd and 7. That's every offensive coordinator's perfect dream, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we said, what did Mike Nolan tell us? Got to get him off on 3rd down. I'd much rather make a 3rd and 7 call than a 3rd and 2, particularly with Cam Newton. That opens up a whole can of worms with Cam Newton running the ball on 3rd and short compared to 3rd and long.
Quick slant. Steve Smith shakes a tackle inside the 21st down Panthers.
Well, just Steve Smith. This is as simple as a screwdriver on the outside. Just a quick slant, anticipating pressure, which they got. That relieved or removed the underneath coverage. That is tough on a corner versus pressure, to not let a Steve Smith get in behind you, to not then let him have the inside. Right now, Steve Smith is already baiting these guys. You can tell, particularly down here, this is where he likes to get to John with these DBs. And this is something I know Atlanta, particularly Mike Smith, has talked to his DBs about. Don't get involved in this war of words with Steve Smith.
99 straight games for the reception for Smith. D'Angelo Williams forced to the outside. Let's check in downstairs with Laura.
I want to continue with that war of words that you're talking about, Brian, because I talked to Falcons DB coach Tim Lewis, who told his rookie DB today, do not engage, do not engage. He will have something on you, and Steve will wear you out with it all game. Don't start something because Steve Smith will finish it. I talked to Steve, and he said, it's not cheap talk. I don't go personal. Janoris Jenkins knows that. He said, I do my homework. I know what this kid is about. I know where he's from. If I get into his head, I win.
Boy, thank you. 2nd down and 7. And 2 of the big talkers in the game. Asante Samuel can talk a little bit too now.
Yeah, he knows not to get in with Steve Smith. He's outclassed in that regard.
Tolbert wrapped up by Corey Peters. And it's down to the 12-yard line, which will bring up another 3rd down for Carolina, trying to cash in after the interception by Kuechly.
Well, Asante Samuel to finish that off, Tom. He usually plays off the ball. It's when you're up in press, and it's the young guys, Desmond Trufant and Robert Alford. Those are the guys you got to watch, because Steve Smith loves to start to engage them, particularly on runs. He's going to bait them into that interaction we're talking about.
Well, you talked about the 2 areas. 3rd down, you talked about the area of the red zone. Carolina has been lethal in the red zone this year, but incomplete, and a flag is thrown. He had an eye on LaFell. Looked like he got tied up with Trufant, the rookie out of Washington, who has started every game in his first year in the NFL.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. Hook and turn the receiver. Automatic.
Well,
First down.
you heard it right there. He hooked and turned. You can put your hands on him. You just can't change the impetus of the route. You saw the shoulders get turned just a little bit at the end. That's what drew the flag.
So now 1st and goal from the 3. Carolina has been so good. 23 possessions in the red zone this year. 15 touchdowns. And they've scored on 13 trips consecutively. Williams. They have lost a couple of yards. So far, so good for this Atlanta porous run defense. 22nd overall, 22nd against a run, 22nd against a pass.
Oh, we talked about that in the open, that the rushing offense of the Falcons and the rushing defense have kind of shown up in the witness protection program, because we haven't seen either all season long, and they know that's got to change. If not, you've got to find ways to compensate for it, and with all the injuries they have in the offensive receiving group, that's hard to do.
Richie Brockels split to the right. And now in the eye in front of Tolbert. And they give it to Tolbert. And the big bowling ball rolls into the end zone. Tolbert, a team best 4th rushing touchdown this year. All set up after the interception by Kuechly. And the Panthers jump in front.
Well, on the left side, they go right over Travell Wharton, just downhill. They love to use Tolbert in this capacity. He's big, he's physical, he stays low to the ground.
Point after by Graham Gano to make it 7-0. The Carolina defense has been spectacular. The early interception by Kuechly. A touchdown by Tolbert. And Newton celebrates with the Carolina faithful to a 7-0 lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Panthers out in front, 7-0. 7 plays, 39 yards in under 4 minutes after the interception. Well, you're not lying. You know, you talk about D'Angelo Williams, and now you got Jonathan Stewart back. You've got Mike Tolbert back here. That is a bruising cast of characters in the backfield.
That combination in 2008 and 9 was unbelievable. Better than 400 carries, almost 2,500 yards. To think that they're back now and healthy and throw in Mike Tolbert. And oh, by the way, Cam Newton can run the ball pretty good too. Yep. So, boy, it's an embarrassment of riches for Carolina in the running game. 10 straight games. Falcons had gone without surrendering a touchdown in the opening quarter. That mark is by the board. Carolina has not allowed a touchdown in the first half this season. That one lined through the back of the end zone. These Panthers, the run game, Cam Newton, but they lean heavy on this defense. They'll take the field for the lead when we return. Of course, a NASCAR Hall of Fame right here in Charlotte. Dale Earnhardt's #3 car, Richard Petty's 1966 Plymouth Belvedere. That's what Brian Billick's driving around the Chesapeake Bay area. Out of the backfield, and Kuechly again. Oh, goodness, he levels Rodgers after a 1-yard pickup. Luke,
man, is this kid something.
He's become a complete 3-down player. By that I mean he's physical on 1st and 2nd down, Tom, and his ability to run an open field tackle like we're seeing here. We've already seen the ability to trail a Tony Gonzalez on a turnover. To make an open field tackle like that on Rodgers, he is the complete package.
Rodgers on the handoff, and once more Kuechly right there to meet him. A gain of 3. He's in the middle of that pile. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
Well, your game has one of only 2 touchdowns scored so far in the NFL in Week 9. The other scored by Sean Green of the Tennessee Titans, their first rushing touchdown in a couple of weeks. 5-yard run, 7-0. They lead the Rams. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
There's Tennessee trying to get back in the win column. Jeff Fisher, first time he's locked up the team where he coached for better than a decade. 3rd down, pressure on Ryan, and the catch is made by the future Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, and he is tackled all the way up to the 40-yard line. The first 3rd down conversion today for Atlanta.
Well, this time they matched up the rookie Robert Lester on Tony Gonzalez, and he didn't do it quite as well as Luke Kuechly. He's right there, but again, not understanding the size and athleticism of the future Hall of Famer. This is a tough matchup one-on-one if you don't get a jam on Tony Gonzalez coming off the line, particularly on 3rd down.
203 consecutive games for the reception for Tony Gonzalez. Rodgers trying to slip through, and apparently he did so. It looked like he was bottled up at the line of scrimmage and nearly picked up 4.
Well, they're getting Sam Baker back at left tackle, and they've now got Lamar Holmes at right tackle. They're hoping that would give them the little bit of push in the running game that's been missing up to now, and it's been hit and miss here at best. We talked about to open the game. They somehow have to find a way to run the ball, if for no other reason, to set up the play action fakes for the big plays down the field.
Short drop, quick throw, and the catch is made, and that's good enough for a first down to Darius Johnson. Well, Fox tomorrow, the Horseman returns to America's favorite new drama. Critics rave it's TV's craziest, most over-the-top, mercilessly funny news show. Don't miss an all-new Sleepy Hollow tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, only on Fox. I thought that was your promo.
You stole it from me.
I would never do that. Not even post-Halloween. Jackson looking for room and just not much there. Jackson in week 2 caught his first touchdown pass as a Falcon. And on the play, injured his thigh. He left that game, was inactive the next 4. Returned last week against Arizona, had 11 carries for 6 yards. He has had a spectacular NFL career. Blitz coming, they pick it up. And Gonzalez climbs a ladder for a first down to the 35.
Well, this was just the opposite route of what they got the interception on. Chase Blackburn, they're going to have to put Luke Kuechly back on him, because Chase Blackburn's trying to buzz out underneath Tony Gonzalez, and instead of going inside, he settles to the outside. Matt Ryan having that sixth sense with his all-pro tight end, knowing where the ball's going to be. They can't do too much of that. They got to get Luke Kuechly back on Tony Gonzalez.
Had to get rid of that in a hurry. Had an eye on DeMarco out of the backfield, but Thomas Davis was all over Matt Ryan. Remember now, in the one game that Atlanta beat Carolina last year, the Falcons sacked Matt Ryan 7 times and hit him, by all counts, at least 15 other times. This is among the best pass rushing defenses in the NFL, and Ryan knows it. Jackson on a pitch. Blackburn missed a tackle. And down to the 27-yard line goes Jackson. It'll bring up a third down for Atlanta.
Well, that's 2 plays where you've seen a little bit of the lack of athleticism on the part of Chase Blackburn, trying to keep up with Tony Gonzalez. He should have wrapped up and had that for a loss. 2 inside backers, Kuechly and Thomas, they are outstanding. Chase Blackburn is a guy that they've had to plug in. Solid at the point of attack, but you don't want him in open space.
He's also nursing an injured foot right now, and he leaves the field on third down. Gonzalez in motion, 4-man rush. And Gonzalez wide open. Down to the 6-yard line is Tony Gonzalez. 3 big catches on this Falcon drive, and it's first and goal.
And they're moving Tony Gonzalez around, so you can't get that jam. He motions back into a quasi-bunch route here, and things kind of scatter. All of a sudden, nobody has him. They all go running up on the underneath route. If there's one guy you're going to cover, I would suggest it be Tony Gonzalez. Putting him in motion again.
Jackson. A gain of 1, second and goal.
They would love nothing more than to run the ball in, but right now this is the area where the Atlanta Falcons typically get into the end zone with a throw. Not that they won't run it here. They'll put Gonzalez to the back of the end zone, run a Harry Douglas or one of the others underneath, see if they can get that high-low touchdown to check down concept that most people employ.
They'll play the drive, second down and goal, and Ryan works out of the shotgun. Inside handoff to Jackson, and bottled up at the 3. It brings up third and goal.
I applaud them trying to punch it in, but I don't know. There's probably 30 other front sevens in the National Football League I'd rather try to run the ball in against than the Carolina Panthers.
7-0 into the opening quarter. Third and goal when we come back. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Third down and goal for Atlanta, trying to tie the game. They give it to Jackson, and for the first time as a Falcon, a rushing touchdown. A late penalty flag comes in. Run from
Holding, offense, number 75. 10-yard penalty, repeat, third down.
Just starting to say, throwing from an area where you hear and see offensive holding. That's Garrett Reynolds. That would have been the first rushing touchdown as a Falcon for Jackson.
Right here, it looks late like he gets a bit of hold of Colin Cole, number 91, just as he's coming off. Grab it, can't really see it there. Must have a hold of his right shoulder. This now is clearly Tony Gonzalez territory.
And now third down and goal from the 12, and Ryan steps up, drops it off to Rodgers, but denied the end zone as Melvin White, college free agent, now a starter in his Carolina secondary, comes up to make the stop.
Well, you can see right here with Gonzalez, they're not going to let him be a part of it. He gets down the field. Luke Kuechly says, I've already shut you out one time. Ooh, I don't know that he didn't get away with a little bit there. Nice coverage by Kuechly. We said in the open, holding a team to field goals rather than touchdowns, and obviously for Atlanta, that has been their issue all year long.
All year long is right. Matt Bryant has only missed once, just from 28 yards out. Falcons have been in the red zone the second most times among all teams in the NFL, but they are in the bottom third of turning those trips into touchdowns. One trip in the red zone for Carolina turned into a touchdown. A trip in the red zone for the Falcons, and after a holding penalty against Garrett Reynolds, they settle for 3. And Brian, going back to your great offensive coordinator days in Minnesota, later the head coach, won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. When you're on the sideline, how bad are you hurting when you miss those trips in the red zone time after time?
In a game like this, it does become demoralizing, and what happens? People start to press. Defensively, you take more chances maybe than you should because you want to get your offense on a short field. Matt Ryan begins to feel like he has to force the ball on first and second down because he's not sure he's going to get it in there on third down.
Ted Ginn Jr., Mike Tolbert waiting back on the kickoff. And Bosher spins it away. Through the uprights. Panthers with a 7-3 lead. Jonathan Stewart has checked into the backfield for the first time today. A starter last year, and then at the end of November he injured his ankle. Wound up having surgery on both ankles. Started to practice with the team regularly 2 weeks ago, and now set to get the football, I would imagine, very quickly. And this is Jonathan Stewart, and he is dropped for a loss of 3. Akeem Dent blasting through to make the stop. Then we check in LA with Kurt Menefee.
Well, of course, the Saints are atop the NFC South, and right now they're atop the Jets. Drew Brees hooking up with Jimmy Graham, 51 yards, but watch him carry Jaquan Jarrett into the end zone for the score. His 9th of the year, matches Graham's total from last season. It's 7-3 right now. Tom Bryant.
Of course, both of these teams chasing the Saints in the NFC South. Losers only once. That was that miracle finish in New England, a game where Jimmy Graham did not have a catch. Second down for Newton. Good protection. And overthrows a wide open Steve Smith at the 38-yard line.
Atlanta brought pressure on Cam Newton, and Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, knows you can't let Cam Newton get comfortable. When he rushes his mechanics, that's when the balls tend to sail on him a little bit, and for their part, hopefully lead to those high throws like we just saw that turns into a turnover.
Mike Nolan 2 weeks ago went from coaching in the box upstairs down along the sideline, and that's where he is now for a second straight game. Third down, blitz coming again. And Newton still on his feet, still looking around. How about that play by Cam Newton? And that is a first down to Smith to the 42. Wow. Warlow had it. Umenyiora, or they thought they had it.
Well, 3 and 4 and 5 people had a chance at him here. Umenyiora has a shot in there. Then obviously Warlow also. This is Roethlisberger-esque in terms of the size and power of Cam Newton to fight his way out of the grasp of the defender, and you know how that breaks down a secondary when the quarterback can buy time like that.
And then Smith breaking out of a tackle from William Moore to get 5 more yards. Tolbert wrapped up by Deku up to the 48-yard line. Good gain of 7 on first down.
And this efficiency on first and second down, Cam Newton, his growth in terms of look downfield, not there, I'll drop the ball off. His efficiency, Tom, you talked about the lack of turnovers the last 3 games. The only thing that's missing from Carolina right now, the last 2 years they were either 1 or 2 in the league in generating big plays. Right now they're last. So that's the next piece. But you know what? I like the other pieces they got in there. The big plays will come.
There you see some of the numbers. 90 to 75, now down to 20, and plays 20 yards or more. D'Angelo Williams very close to a first down, needed to get to the Atlanta 49.
You know, Tom, I had a quarterback in Randall Cunningham when he came back to us in Minnesota that was very much focused on that. He wanted to show that he could be the pocket quarterback, and therefore he was dropping the ball off a great deal, being very efficient. I see that in Cam Newton. Along with maturity off the field, he wants to show a maturity in the pocket as a quarterback. At this point, I'd be saying, but you know what? You can take a few of those shots down the field. That's okay with me. You've earned that right to do that.
Well, they bring in the big bodies, an extra offensive lineman on his third down, and that is a first down as Newton will keep it himself.
Well, at 6'5", 245 pounds, he can just fall forward for the first down. But look at the push to the offensive line. And don't think for a second Atlanta doesn't know he's going to do that. Not much they can do to stop the push of the interior offensive line with Travell Wharton, Ryan Khalil, and Chris Scott, and the big 245-pound Cam Newton in behind him.
Training staff taking a look at Asante Samuel over on the Falcons sideline. Been replaced by the rookie Robert Alford. Timeout Carolina. Captain America's made an appearance here in Charlotte today.
He was here early. He may have been the first one in the stands.
You said you thought he was handling your bags when he stopped over in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, that came off. He must have been on my flight because he did a nice job with it, by the way, too.
First down and 10, Panthers, 7-3. Carolina in front. A little more than 10 minutes to play here in the opening half. Newton looking way down the field into double coverage. And it is intercepted. Desmond Trufant, the first interception of his NFL career, and he's going to hang on to that football. Looked like a poor decision there by Newton.
Yeah, it was. I said I wanted to see more vertical shots by Cam Newton. He kind of bailed out of the pocket here. You can see the pressure. He throws up a jump ball, and in this instance, it was not a good result for the Carolina Panthers.
First time in 3 games, spanning 83 pass attempts. And Carolina and Cam Newton have turned the football over. First down carry by Steven Jackson, a good pickup.
We have to go back to this. This is the fundamentals I'm talking about with Cam Newton. He has good pocket presence here, but he flushes himself, and I don't think he needs to. And now the ball is late going to Ted Ginn, and that allows, obviously, for Trufant to make up ground. I'm not sure that Cam Newton needed to flush himself out of the pocket. Had he thrown it up on time, he might have had a touchdown.
Gain of 8 on first down, 2nd and 2. Atlanta trailing 7-3. Didn't look like Jackson got there. Penalty flag thrown on the far sideline.
Illegal formation. Number 76 on the offense was uncovered at the end of the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
It's been one area that also has really hurt the Falcons this year. Under Mike Smith, they have been among the least penalized teams in the NFL the last 5 years. This year, they're right around the middle of the pack, and that's not a direction you want to be going in.
No, a lot of moving parts. You've got a new center. We're now just getting Sam Baker back at tackle. Holmes goes from one side to the other. You got a lot of new receivers. You're exactly right. That's been an issue for Atlanta.
Holmes back in there at right tackle where he began the year. Jeremy Trueblood had been there the last 5 weeks with Baker out. And now Ryan from his own end zone to Rodgers. And that did not fool Thomas Davis and the Carolina defense. Of course, Davis, an amazing story. He's come all the way back from 3 torn ACL injuries to 1 knee, believed to be the first player ever to play a full season after having 3 LCL surgeries to that same knee.
And it's amazing for him to come back from those surgeries at this position. He and Luke Kuechly together, one of the better tandem of linebackers in the league.
3rd down and 4. Atlanta 2 of 4 on 3rd down. And both times Matt Ryan connected with Tony Gonzalez. Incomplete right at the 15 on a pass attempt to Douglas. And the penalty once more really hurts the Falcons.
Well, it's convertible 3rd downs. We're constantly talking about the ability. We opened the game talking about Mike Nolan saying how important it is to get a team off the field on 3rd down. He, of course, referring to the Carolina Panthers. Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, one of the best in the league on 3rd down. Like a lot of things, that has challenged them this year.
Washer out of his own end zone. Again, lots of green in front of him. And along the sideline. Again, run out of bounds by the punter at the 35. Great field position for Carolina. First down for Cam Newton and the Panthers after the excellent return by Ted Ginn Jr. of 24 yards. And now Newton wants a timeout.
Today's game is sponsored by Pizza Hut, stuffing 3 cheeses into their crust since, well, this weekend it's new.
Welcome back to Charlotte, and Coach Billick, I know I'm speaking for you and all of us at Fox Sports. John Fox, of course, the head coach for the Denver Broncos now, but a decade here in Carolina, and will undergo heart surgery after he became lightheaded playing golf here in the Charlotte area, and he's going to miss at least the next couple of months, but our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Absolutely, John. You got to come back quick, man. Your team's playing too well. I miss you.
We saw Coach Fox. I had a chance to see Coach Fox last week before that big game, the big win they had over the Washington Redskins. And he was talking about how much he loves his part of the country. He said this will, for the rest of his life, forever be his home here in the greater Charlotte area. Jonathan Stewart, his 2nd carry. And he's to the 30-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4 on first down. Stewart, you may remember, and Brian, you touched on it earlier. Stewart and D'Angelo Williams in that 2009 season each rushed for better than 1,100 yards.
Yeah, when you have a 1-2 punch like that, and it's a league of two backs, very rarely do you have the one guy carrying for 350 plus times. To have two like that and then throw in Mike Talbot on top of Cam Newton, you can see why Carolina is so focused on running the ball well.
Newton able to get rid of it in time, and it is Stewart out of the backfield, and that is a first down to the 23-yard line. He took a big hit, did Newton, from Corey Peters.
Well, just the subtlest of play fakes here. He's got to wait out. He wants what's down the field. It's not there. Nice job dumping the ball off. Big man, I tell you what, you've got to wrap up. Nice, clean hit by Peters in the middle so as not to draw the penalty on the late hit on the quarterback or the hit to the helmet.
Peters certainly has emerged as a solid player. Starter over each of his 4 years along the Atlanta defensive front. He, along with Babineau, pretty good in the middle. Stewart, after the reception, once more handed the football. That is another solid gain on first down.
You can see the efficiency in Cam Newton. He's taken a couple shots down the field, not there. The running back by committee, no one back obviously hitting it just yet. Steve Smith, a little quiet so far, but don't lose sight of him because he's going to show up in some form or fashion.
Gain of 6 on the carry by Stewart, so second down and 4, and D'Angelo Williams back into the Carolina backfield. Driving close to another first down, needed to get to the 13-yard line, and he's just about there.
Tom, something that this Carolina offense does under Mike Shula like no other is they expand and contract formationally out of the personnel. They'll go too tight. They'll be in a trips, or what we call a balanced spread alignment. Then they'll go into 3 wides. They'll use the 2 tight ends to open it up, run the read option, then get back into a power running game. It really tests the defense in terms of exactly what they've got to prepare for as these offensive formations expand and contract. They're obviously in a contracted formation right now.
Third down and a yard. Tolbert. Very close, depends on the spot. So will this be another one of those 4th down and 1 decisions for Ron Rivera? His coaching career has pretty much hinged on these 4th and 1 tries. This year, 4 out of 5 is Rivera on 4th down and a yard.
Started early, opting more for the 3 points, a little more conservative. As they've gained confidence and gained ground, he's gone for these 4th downs more often, and it's, as you saw there, has worked out well for them.
And Newton to throw it wide open, and it is a touchdown to Greg Olsen.
These situations, Atlanta's got to make decisions. Stop the run or stop the pass. You can see everybody right here stacked up. They're going to stop the run. That allows Cam Newton to get around the edge, and a wide open Greg Olsen here sells the run inside, then sneaks to the outside. Can't even see an Atlanta Falcon in the screen.
Graham Gano for the point after, and it is good. 2 trips in the red zone for Carolina, 2 touchdowns, and a 14-3 lead. After the big punt return by Ted Ginn Jr., only needing to go 34 yards, the Panthers, and into the end zone on a 4th down and 1. The touchdown throw, Newton to Greg Olsen. Carolina winners of 4 out of 5 after losing in heartbreak fashion their first 2 games of the year. And Rodgers 7 yards out of his own end zone, and doesn't quite reach the 20. The 19-yard line he's tackled.
Let's go back and look how Greg Olsen gets so wide open. You've got on a 4th and 1 decide what you want to stop. You can see here Atlanta let this thing run. They're all about stopping the run on a 4th and 1. And right there, everybody has bought it. This is the only way you're going to stop a run on 4th and 1. Unfortunately for the Falcons, it was a play action waggle, we call it, by Cam Newton with a wide open Greg Olsen.
Carolina playing with only a pair of linebackers. We told you that Blackburn has an injured foot. And down the middle it is Harry Douglas. Across the 40, across midfield. And run out of bounds all the way to the Panther 38-yard line.
Well, Harry Douglas in his familiar slot position, this is where he's the best. He just gets into that second level behind the linebackers and just flat out runs Captain Mutterland to get him across the field with no help underneath.
Douglas in the midst of a breakout season. 7 catches, career high 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 weeks against Tampa Bay, and then last week career high 12 catches, 121 yards against Arizona. Steven Jackson, a gain of 8 on a first down carry.
Luke Kuechly has really evolved, one of the best linebackers here. An interception with Tony Gonzalez. Great open field tackle. And right here you can see he's all over Tony Gonzalez. Maybe got away with a little bit there, but he is, as I said, a great 3-down player. Physical on 1st and 2nd down, can run with you on 3rd down.
Caught a gain of 7, and that one batted down at the line of scrimmage. Frank Alexander wasn't touched coming off that edge. So another big 3rd down for the Falcons.
I'm not sure Mike Smith doesn't have to put offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter into a 4-down mentality. He's got to tell them that now. Am I going to let you go for it on 4th down? You want to, as you get into the scoring position, you can't let this game get away from you.
Four-man rush. Bryant steps up, and it is caught by who else? Tony Gonzalez to the 19, and that is a 1st down. Beat Thomas Davis in coverage.
And you got to know that Carolina knows the ball's going to go to Tony Gonzalez. No Julio Jones, no Roddy White. This is the guy on a critical 3rd down. Davis was right there, did a nice job, but that's Tony Gonzalez.
Now 1st down from a 19. Fake the throw, hands it to Rodgers, does Ryan. And maybe a gain of a yard.
And this is what Matt Ryan is so good at. The ball's a little bit behind him. Uncharacteristic of Matt Ryan, who's such an accurate passer. I don't know if he felt like he wasn't quite sure what was out in front of Tony Gonzalez. Not a lot of players can reach back with a linebacker all over you and make a catch like that.
We reach a 2-minute warning, and the Falcons knocking on the door. 2 minutes to play here in the opening half. Carolina leading 14-3, 2nd down and 9 for the Falcons in the Atlanta 17, and to the end zone. A touchdown for Tony Gonzalez. The first touchdown surrendered in the first half by this Carolina defense this season.
This was, I was talking about what they do with Tony Gonzalez. They put him the back to the end zone. Then they bring Harry Douglas underneath. In this instance, Luke Kuechly, who previously had run with Gonzalez, had to kind of drop him because of the underneath action. This is classic Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan going to Tony Gonzalez, or in this case, Harry Douglas.
Point after is good. Gonzalez getting his 4th touchdown reception of the season.
Douglas underneath, or excuse me, Davis underneath. I thought it was Douglas with the 3, with Tony Gonzalez over the top. That high-low principle.
So 14-10 as the Falcons get into the end zone on a trip inside the red zone. This time it was a penalty, you may remember, that forced them into a 3rd down and long, wound up settling for the field goal. And now Cam Newton and the Panthers will get the ball back with just under 2 minutes to play in the first half, and Carolina with 1 timeout remaining.
Let me go back and clean up that touchdown, Tom. Again, we're talking about Gonzalez getting in behind with an underneath man. In this instance, it was Darius Johnson. Typical high-low. Kuechly wants to run with him, but that underneath route flashed. I don't know if he thought someone was going to be over the top. Kuechly clearly should have stayed with Gonzalez, but you can't tell you how many times we've seen Matt Ryan and Atlanta Falcons get this high-low principle. Gonzalez to somebody underneath.
Lefty one! Lefty one! Ready?
4-man rush, good protection. And Brandon LaFell the catch, depending on where they spot it. Should be enough for a first down. Clock continues to run.
Tony Gonzalez is an ultimate fighter, but the new season of Ultimate Fighter is powerful and relentless. Epic. It's just getting started. Catch the show critics say delivers the goods, and see why they call Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate the new best rivalry in sports. Get hooked on the show everyone is talking about, the Ultimate Fighter.
First down carry is to Tolbert, and the clock continues to run. 1:20. A little surprised they ran the football there after putting it up on first down. Only 1 timeout remaining. Out of the backfield, they lay it off to Tolbert, and he'll find a sideline, and he delivers a shot to Asante Samuel, who hits a deck.
We got one. No. We only got one.
At 5'9", 250 pounds right here. He had a little bit of help there from on the outside by Ginn. But he says, look, I'll push you both out of bounds right here. I want to make sure I get there because I don't want this. I want this clock to stop.
It's like running into a fire hydrant when you hit Tolbert.
It's like a fire hydrant running into you. Right.
Ready?
1:09 to play until halftime, and Newton lost to the sideline, in and out of the hands of Smith. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Joel Klatt.
Thank you, Tom. We go up to New York. The Saints outdoors. Drew Brees to Jimmy Graham. His 10th touchdown of the season, 2nd of the day, and the Saints are up over the Jets, 14-6. Back to Carolina. Tom and Brian.
All right, Joel, thank you very much. In coverage and doing a beautiful job on Smith. That last incompleted pass was Samuel, who was injured earlier in the game and is shaken up again.
Well, he was able to come back in, but this is going to stretch the Atlanta Falcons. They're already starting 2 rookies in the secondary.
So we'll take a timeout as they check on Samuel. Asante Samuel, 4 times a Pro Bowler, the 229th player drafted back in 2003 by the New England Patriots. Spent 5 years there, won 2 Super Bowl rings, 4 years in Philly, now his 2nd with Atlanta. Had the quad injury early in the game, and now headed straight for the Falcons locker room. Meanwhile, 3rd down and 8. Looking for a flag. And one is thrown. Trufant in coverage of Brandon LaFell. Mike Smith saying that ball was tipped. He might be right.
Yeah, it looked like it was because it kind of fell off at the end. That's what they're discussing right now. Trufant saying that had to have been tipped. There's no way that, and it got about halfway there.
Pass interference, defense number 11, automatic. First down.
Well, he meant defense number 21, I believe, on number 11. You're going to see it right in here. And they did get tangled up down the field. As he starts on his outbreak, got a little bit of a hold. I don't know, not as egregious as you'd think, but the question is, did it get tipped? I can't tell there.
So first down. And they try to set up a wide receiver screen to the speedy Ted Ginn Jr. And that would bat it down by Massaquoi.
Well, That one got almost more than tipped, almost got intercepted. Cam Newton having to deliver a little bit of a flat pass. Atlanta is being uniquely aggressive in this situation, relying on some one-on-one matchups at the outside. They can get home like they have the last 2 plays, but they could also be vulnerable down the field. Let's see if they want to be aggressive or more passive defensively.
Again, without a reception, he was coming off his best game in 4 years. 5 catches, 80 yards, and a win over Tampa Bay. Now 2nd down. And Newton throws it at the feet of Tolbert, but he got the pass away before he was sacked.
Number 35 was in the area.
Going to bring up 3rd down and 10 from the 46. Coming up on the Visa halftime report with Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. The Bills are leading the unbeaten Kansas City Chiefs right now. They'll talk about that. Tennessee Titans trying to end a 3-game skid, and the Dallas Cowboys back at home against Minnesota trailing today.
Good pressure by Atlanta here. Got just a scraping of the face mask. Massaquoi able to double back and hit Cam Newton from behind. Just got the ball out of his hands.
See, laying down on the ground there, it looked like he had his ankle rolled up or a leg rolled up on was a right guard, 2nd year out of Tennessee, Chris Scott. They're looking more in the knee area than they are in the ankle.
Of course, Travell Wharton, the other guard, was brought in when they lost Amini Solotolu for the season. Now the right guard, Scott. It always seems those injuries come in all in one position. It drives you nuts as a coach.
Well, the big fella able to walk off the field. See, a lot of pressure on Newton today, and that has not been the MO for this Atlanta defense this year. Now, they've been a little better lately. They've come up with 3 or more sacks in each of the last 3 games, but it was virtually a non-existent pass rush very early in the year.
And they've had to commit linebackers and secondary to get that pressure, to free up the defensive lines. And as I said, that can lead one-on-one matchups that, at least thus far, Cam Newton hasn't been able to take advantage of, even though they look to be passive zone right now.
It's a 3rd down and 10. Blitz coming. They pick it up. And the catch is made in traffic by Ted Ginn Jr., and that is a 1st down to the Atlanta 44-yard line. And Newton spikes the ball to stop the clock with 34 seconds left. Remember, Carolina out of timeouts.
Well, you can see right here they've got no timeouts, hence they had to kill the ball. They're about 15 yards, 10 yards away from a makeable field goal. With 34 seconds, they have time to go ahead and obviously they've got time to rush their field goal team on if they choose to throw in the middle. Normally you'd think of an outside throw that allows the ball carrier to catch the ball, get out of bounds, and save some time.
They've got a strong-legged kicker in Graham Gano. No 2 ways about that. Laid off for Tolbert. And he's able to beat one tackler, run out of bounds at the 40. Graham Gano, during the Carolina Panthers Fan Fest, hit a 63-yard field goal. And Ron Rivera said at the time, at the end of a half or at the end of a game, that he would not be afraid to have Graham Gano give it a go from as far as 65 yards away.
So that means you can kind of buy some yardage. You'll take this shot wherever you want. The key is you got to get the clock stopped.
Well, right now it would be roughly a 58-yard field goal attempt. Good protection. And that's the way you draw it up as Olsen gets out of bounds. Well, now, Coach Billick, let's put that hat on. You're at the 19. You're out of timeouts. 20 seconds left. What you're thinking here?
Well, I now, because of the 1st down, I have time to throw the ball wherever I want, including the middle of the field, and I have time to kill it now. That's the key. As long as the down and distance allows me to kill the clock, which he didn't have on the previous play, I don't have to just throw it to the outside.
Mike Smith looking around for answers along that sideline. And Newton with under 20 to play, looking at the end zone. And unable to get both feet in bounds. The Atlanta defender in the back of that end zone, the rookie Robert Alford, so incomplete.
Very, very dangerous throw. Like I said, you're in field goal position. Right now, Mike Smith is raving about something, and I'm not quite sure. I had to do with the previous play, but right now, I don't know. They're not seeing it the same way. That just barely got that in. Let's see if does he have, this has got to be reviewed from above, right foot, left foot. If that right foot wasn't out of bounds, that's an interception. Of course, that review has to come from above, and it will.
The question is, clearly the left foot dragged. There's no debate about the left foot. Was the right foot completely in bounds, and did he have control of the football?
And this should give us that shot right there. Ooh, boy, I don't know. Remember, it was reviewed an incomplete pass. You got to watch the right sideline. I tell you what, with the last shot we had in that one, it looked like that right foot was in bounds. The first shot showed us behind the end line. The second shot showed he wasn't out of bounds. I think this is an interception.
I do too. I thought that look overhead gave us a clean view of whether or not that foot was on the black and was not touching any part of the white.
And you have to see both. The one view showed us where the toes were before the end line. The second shot showed us that the foot was inside of the sideline.
Mike Pereira, do you agree with us, or do you see it any differently? We feel like this is going to be overturned and will be an interception.
Well, I think you got to put the control aspect of it in here too, which he clearly does have. And the right foot to me is inbound. Toe taps the left toe. You know, to me, this is an interception.
Boy, and if that is the case, Mike, thank you very much. Brian, if that is the case, what an unbelievable swing in momentum at the waning seconds here in the first half.
It is, because like we said, he had time. You didn't have to force the ball into the end line. It's not like he didn't have any time to kill the clock. You wanted to preserve the field goal. You want the touchdown, certainly. Boy, everything we see right there, I believe this has got to be. You see, he did not cross the end line, and then the other shot along the sideline, if you see it, will show the right foot was in bounds. I think this is an interception and a huge second turnover by Cam Newton.
Tony Correnti, our referee, to give us the verdict. It's a big call.
After reviewing the play, the Atlanta defender was able to keep one foot in bounds and drug the other. It is an interception, therefore a touchback. First down for Atlanta.
That is a second very poor decision in this game made by Cam Newton, who had not turned the ball over the last 3 weeks.
As I said, he didn't need to force the ball into the end zone. Had he decided to drop it off, he had plenty of time to kill the clock on second down to give him a chance to come in and kick the field goal.
Ryan is going to take a knee. So in the final 2 minutes of this opening half, Atlanta scores a touchdown, the first allowed by this Carolina defense in the first half of play all year. The Panthers go down the field, but throw the interception on the second to last play of the half. We go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles. It's time now for the Visa halftime. We invite you to follow your favorite team all season long by going to iTunes.com/NFL. May remember the Panthers won the coin toss, elected to take the football to begin the second half. So Cam Newton cranking it up after the rather disappointing ending for Carolina to the first half. But the Panthers with a 14-3 lead. I want to ask Coach Brian Billick to 14-10 lead, I beg your pardon. I want to ask Coach Brian Billick here in a moment about what kind of adjustments you might be looking at for each team here at halftime.
Well, obviously to start with, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, talked about turnovers, none bigger than the one they had at the end of the half. They need to continue to do that. Carolina's got to stay balanced. They've gotten away from the run a little bit, only 13 times for 26 yards. And finally, Cam Newton can't become overly cautious in throwing the ball down the field now just because he's thrown 2 interceptions.
The Panthers have only run the ball, as you mentioned, Brian, for 26 yards. This is a Panther team that averages 130 rushing yards per game. See the numbers on Newton, the touchdown pass when they went for it on 4th down and 1 to Greg Olsen. Boy, that's a fastball from the right-hander Newton into the arms of Smith. The first down. We check in along the sideline with Laura Oakman.
Tom, I asked Ron Rivera about those 2 interceptions. He said it's nothing to do with the pressure. It's all Carolina's doing. But that second one in the corner of the end zone, he said that was not Cam. That was a receiver stopping the route, miscommunication. I'll come back to you in a second, Tom.
All right, Laura. Coming out in a no-huddle offense, and there's a run game. D'Angelo Williams, a carry of 9. Laura?
Tom, I told him that we're getting used to this Ron Rivera going for it 4th and 1. I asked him, was that the first time you went 4th and 1 and threw? He said yes with a hint of a smile and said we have to do that. We have to keep mixing it up. It's the one way to keep this Falcon defense honest. As for the Falcons, Brian, you said it. Mike Smith said the key defensively, getting them off the field, 3rd down. Offensively, he said we got to keep letting Matt go through his reads. We got to protect him.
All right, Laura Oakman, thank you very much. A pitching to Williams. And that'll be enough for a first down up close to midfield to the 49-yard line.
Well, I'd be surprised if we don't see a heavy dose of this run. We've already seen it with a hard inside run, then getting to the outside. Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, knows that this is the strength of his team, and it leads to the easier throws by Cam Newton after a play fake. We're going to get a heavy dose of run and then a play action pass.
Fake it to Williams. One-handed catch made by Brandon LaFell, and depending on the spot, it looks like they'll give it to him. That's right at the first down marker.
Well, here's that play action we talked about. He gets to the outside. This throw was high and hot. Great one-arm grab, or one-handed grab, I should say, by Brandon LaFell. And that ball came in with some heat. That was not easy to do.
There's no huddle offense. Moving it right down the field. And that one blown dead before it ever got started.
The question on the field was whether or not a first down had been made, and yes, it is a first down.
Territory when you get to the 40-yard line of your opponent. It's a great place to go vertical. Well, I'm not sure they're not going to keep running the ball the way they have to start this drive.
Jonathan Stewart playing for the first time this season. Carries inside the 40. They'll spot it at the 37-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4 for Jonathan Stewart, playing after injuring and undergoing surgery on both of his ankles during the offseason.
You can't talk enough about how difficult that type of rehab is, because it affects absolutely everything you do.
And a wide open Smith, and Newton missed him. While we have a moment before 3rd and 6, we send it to L.A. and check in with Joel Klatt. Hey, Joel.
Hey, Tom, how about Buffalo trying to make it 17-3? It's going the other way. Jeff Toole, his first start. Sean Smith with the interception, and he takes it back 101 yards for the Kansas City touchdown. The Chiefs have made it 10-10. Tom.
You always ask me about demoralizing plays. That's a demoralizing play when they're about to score and it goes 100 yards the other way.
They're down, and Newton under heavy pressure and throws low to LaFell. And once more, it was Jonathan Massaquoi applying the heat. So after a very good drive, to start things here in the second half. Things stall.
Atlanta's rolling the dice with the pressure packages they're bringing with their linebackers and secondary, and they're making him very uncomfortable.
Season long for Graham Gano is 53 yards. This one would be from 55. Out of the hold of Brad Norman. Line drive kick. You betcha. Talked about the leg of Graham Gano, and mine as he's showing off here. The lead swells to 7. Opening drive in the second half for the Panthers. A 55-yard field goal from Graham Gano. You know, we talked about the Falcons, how good they have been in the first quarter this year. They have outscored their opponents by a larger differential than any team in the NFL in the first quarter. But that's when the problems begin. They have been outscored in the other 3 quarters by the opposition this entire season. And that one will bounce into the arms of Rodgers, and they'll get the ball to 20. For those of you just joining us, early on, the interception by Kuechly, which led to the first touchdown of the game, carried by Tolbert. 1 of 2 interceptions thrown in the first half by Cam Newton. On a 4th down, they went for it on 4th and a yard, a touchdown to Olsen. But back came Ryan and the Falcons with a touchdown to make it a 4-point game, and then inside the red zone. Second to last play of the half, an interception thrown by Newton. And here we go with Atlanta on offense, down by 7. 3 minutes gone in the third quarter. Jackson out of the backfield. Nowhere to go. Mike Mitchell, the first one there to meet him, and Colin Cole finished him off.
They bought Steven Jackson in the offseason, trying to account for the loss of the running game with Mike Turner. Here they're going no huddle. This is typical of Atlanta. Matt Ryan, when they really need something, they go to the no huddle.
Jackson has run the ball rather well here today. Averaging a little better than 4 yards per carry so far on his 10 rushes.
And now they come out of it. Interesting. They go into the no huddle, then they come out of it. Mike Smith, the head coach, is the one that triggers that. He loves the no huddle. Typically, it's the coordinator and the quarterback trying to talk him into it in most cases. But Mike Smith likes the no huddle because he likes the tempo that Matt Ryan can create with it.
Third down and a yard. Kuechly, Mitchell all sneaking up on the line of scrimmage. Davis. They hand it off. And unable to get there is Jackson. Talked about all those Carolina defenders right up against the line of scrimmage. Cole and company leading the charge.
They shifted, they faked the motion. They were trying to do everything to distract Carolina from just a simple dive, and they were having no part of it. That interior of the defensive line for the Carolina Panthers, first-round draft choice, Starluta Lele, big, physical, the heart of what they do defensively.
Okay, well, it's also very good scouting on Carolina's part, the story of Colin Cole. Cole, a pretty good player for 5 years in Green Bay, was a starter in Seattle, then he got hurt. Did not play for 2 years when they brought him in this year. Again, makes a fair catch. With all the injuries they've had, Colin Cole has played good football. Starting this possession from the 19, Carolina leading Atlanta 17-10, and you can just tell by the emotion on that sideline by Mike Smith. He very much knows his team is in a world of trouble should they lose this game to have any hopes and aspirations of going to the postseason for what would be a 5th time in his 6 years as head coach. D'Angelo Williams for 2. A lot of changes on that offensive front for Carolina, Laura Oakland. What's going on?
Well, that explains why Brian said the last offensive series for the Panthers, the Falcons defense was making them look uncomfortable. They are right now. Starting guard Chris Scott left the game with the knee injury. His return is questionable. Jeff Byers went in to replace him. He is out for the remainder of the game. He left with an ankle injury. Right now they are down to number 3.
And down on the field injured is Corey Peters. Fourth-year defensive tackle out of the University of Kentucky.
Peters has had a good game on the inside here, really helping this injury-depleted defense of the Atlanta Falcons.
You know, you really look at this entire team, Brian, and all the injuries. We'll talk about them when we come back, but they have been to so many key important players.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the new 2014 Dodge Durango.
Still taking a look at Corey Peters over on the Atlanta sideline. We're starting to talk about all the injuries. You go all the way back to training camp. And then once the regular season got underway, Roddy White actually injured his ankle during training camp, which slowed him down at the start of the year. Julio Jones, a foot injury. Sean Weatherspoon, their outstanding linebacker. Catch made close to a first down on 2nd and 8. And that's Brandon LaFell. And it is a first down. Troy Bierman went down.
Yeah, and when you're talking about having 4 rookies in that defensive lineup for Atlanta, I mean, Mike Nolan has done a great job with trying to put we used to call it the Apollo 13 rule. Remember the scene when they get throw the stuff on the table and say, hey, we got to make this work, guys. However, well, you throw it on the table and say, we got to make this work.
Newton looking down the sideline for Olsen. And Olsen looking for a flag. It's William Moore in coverage.
He lays this up with lots of air down the field. Olsen giving a nod. This is kind of, I don't think, no, he barely touched him. He didn't impede him at all. They kind of get tied up. I think that's a good no call on William Moore on Greg Olsen.
Moore in his 4th year out of Missouri has been a starter since his rookie year. Came in with a tender hip. They didn't know whether he'd be able to play this week. 31, 2nd down and 10. And Atlanta has done a really good job today defending the run game. 3rd down coming up, and we check in again with Joel Klatt.
Thanks, Tom. Let's go back to Dallas. 2 quick scores by the Cowboys gave them a 20-10 lead, but then off the play action, Ponder to Kyle Rudolph. 31 yards. The TD makes it 20-17. Cowboys still up. Tom.
We see Kyle Rudolph there. He had a couple of battles with Luke Kuechly. They played in the same conference against one another, the Greater Catholic League in Cincinnati. Rudolph playing for Elder High School, Kuechly at St. Xavier. Those two have banged heads a number of times growing up. And Newton on the quarterback keeper, and that is a first down to the 14-yard line.
This is absolutely lethal when you can clear everything out. I'm sure this was on a check for Cam Newton simply to look. See, I like the number count. Watch the alley that's created here for Cam Newton. They double down, the back leads up. This is like giving a running back a lead play, and then he uses that size to bowl over the linebacker to get the first down. This is a huge weapon. This is what Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, was referring to, how difficult it is to get Carolina off the field on 3rd down.
Good open field tackle made by the rookie Trufant.
Tom, I want you to see what Mike Shula does with their personnel and formations in Carolina, why it's so tough. Cam Newton, they expand and contract. Here they have what we call bunch alignment, where they just bunch to one side, a 3-by-1. Now they're more traditional with the tight ends on either side and what we call a spread formation. Now they get in traditional slot with I-backs coming out of a traditional old downhill football. And now I'm going to spread it out, put these guys to the outside. This constant expanding and contracting really tests what we've already said is a young defense on the part of the Atlanta Falcons.
Newton all day to throw. And a flag comes in late. Trufant in coverage of Brandon LaFell.
I'm not sure this is on true font.
Illegal contact, defense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, I think it was Luke Kuechly trailing Greg Olsen. Excuse me, Bartow, the rookie we just talked about, excuse me, on the flip side, trailing Greg Olsen. Got a hold of him that now allows them to get the first down. It was still on top of the play, so therefore, good penalty, obviously, good conversion for Carolina.
Buffalo Bartu along with Paul Warley, a couple of linebackers who were college free agents, and both of them in a starting lineup for Atlanta here today. Not sure what happened there with Newton. It looked like he had a little bit of running room. Let's check in downstairs with Laura Oakman.
We just saw Corey Peters walking into the Falcons locker room. The Falcons are saying it is a knee injury question. Well, the good news is that he was walking as we saw. He waved off the cart that came there for him. I'll update you with any new information.
Thank you, Laura. So that means he'll rotate parade Jeff Jerry in there, former #1 pick out of Mississippi. Second down and 8. Good coverage, good throw, good catch. And a gain to the 43-yard line. Asante Samuel putting the hit on Brandon LaFell that brings up third down and a long 3.
Well, Mike Nolan told us third down, and as they get into the red zone, this is a big third down to keep them from moving down to scoring position. We know that they're clearly getting close to field goal position. Graham Gano's already kicked a 55-yard.
Blitz coming. Carolina picks it up. LaFell unable to get it. Well, a lot of third down plays and short yardage to go. The Panthers have thrown the ball down the field a number of times today.
Yeah, on this down and distance, when you have a guy that can carry the ball like Cam Newton, they're taking a shot here. Typically that little back shoulder throw, we've talked many times about Cam Newton. If there's a criticism on his throws, they tend to be flat and high down the field. He needed that back ear hole shot there to convert on that 3rd and 3.
Norman to punt it. And over in. And a fair catch inside the 10 at the 5 by Robert McLean. Antony Gonzalez and the Falcons come back from 7 down. They'll get the ball when we return. First down, and Jackson strong running, still on his feet. And Jackson a gain of 12 on first down. This guy's a load when he's in the open field.
Well, look at the alley. Excuse me. Look at, I got the wrong thing going there. Look at this alley right into here. Nice job on the part of Garrett Reynolds kicking out on the linebacker. Steven Jackson, when he can get ahead of steam going downhill, he can do some serious damage.
3 Pro Bowls while with the St. Louis Rams for Jackson has rushed for better than 10,000 yards in his career. Receiving is tacked on nearly 3,500 more. But hurt most of this year. And now Ryan looking to Douglas. Wide open in the secondary. And he crosses midfield. First down, Atlanta. New team record for Matt Ryan. Breaking the mark formerly held by Steve Bartkowski. Down the middle of the field, and it is tipped and intercepted. Thomas Davis Came up with a tip ball for the interception. And some pushing and shoving going on after Davis was touched down. And Davis shaken up, slow to get up. Boy, that ball by Ryan was thrown into a pile of blues.
It was after just breaking the record. The ball with lots of loft. There's a whole bunch of blue jerseys. Too many for my liking. And the ball tips up right into the hands of Davis.
Second interception thrown by Matt Ryan. This one tipped into the arms of the injured, it appears, Thomas Davis. Carolina with a 7-point lead, 3:28 to play in the third quarter. Coming in late under center, there was Newton. They set him a screen to Jonathan Stewart. Big Travell Wharton in front of him, and that is a gain of 10 on first down.
Let's go back to what set this up. You can see there's just a lot of folks here, and as the ball comes in, Harry Douglas and Quentin Michael both kind of tip it up in the air. And Davis does a nice job of jumping underneath it as the ball lays up there. Matt Ryan kind of forcing the ball in. Tom, you talked about earlier what happens to them in the second half. They're down by 7. They start to press a little bit, forces the ball into an area he probably wishes he hadn't.
Jonathan Stewart carries up to the 39, and a penalty flag is thrown.
Holding, offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Travell Wharton being called for, I think he ended up hooking Parade Jerry as the ball bounced to the outside.
This Carolina defense, tell you what, these guys have become one of the most dominant groups. You brought up rookies on the field. You look at most of this season, at any given point in time, they have 4 or 5 rookies out there on this defense. The second stingiest scoring defense in the NFL, just fractionally behind Kansas City. Play action. Wide open is Olsen. And they convert on second down to first down and forever. 1st and 20. But Olsen limping along the sideline.
This is part of that expanding, contracting formations I'm talking about. They get into a 2 tight end alignment, very much a run formation. Little play action fake right there. Looks like he maybe stumbled on his ankle just a little bit, but it freed up Greg Olsen in behind the linebackers as they reacted to the run. Looks like he just stepped wrong there coming out of it.
Olsen stays in the game. After a 23-yard reception, it's back on the ground to Jonathan Stewart. And that'll be a gain of 3, 2nd down and 7 upcoming. See the Jets now with a 9-point lead over the New Orleans Saints.
Well, what week is it? 1 week up, 1 week down. This is the week to be up.
The Geno Coasters.
The Geno Coaster. I like that.
And off to the sideline is Corey Peters, coming back, of course, from the locker room after being injured on the last Carolina series. Fake the handoff to Ginn, screen to D'Angelo Williams. It's a nice play right there made by Warlow, preventing big yardage from Williams. And let's check in back in L.A. with Kurt Menefee.
Well, if you hear Howie Long celebrating, that's because Darrell Young, undrafted out of Villanova, has scored 2 second-half touchdowns for the Redskins. He had 1 in his first 4 years in the league. The Skins with a 21-14 lead over San Diego in the 4th. Tom and Brian.
Of course, Young came out of Villanova as a linebacker, you may remember, and it was the Redskins who talked him into converting from linebacker to the fullback position, so good for him. Long ball to LaFell. Looking back up into that bright sunshine, don't know if that had any effect at all, but once again on a 3rd and short, and Carolina looking for the home run.
Well, they're bringing all sorts of pressure here. Show everybody up on the line. Force Cam Newton to get the ball up a little early and a little flatter than he'd like. I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but I'd love to see Cam Newton get a little more air on his throws down the field.
It's not been a very impressive game offensively for either one of these two teams today. End over end punt. McLean will let it bounce. And it will be down to the 14-yard line. As always, we'd love to welcome the men and women in uniform who protect us every day, making the United States of America still the greatest country in the world. For all who have served, are serving, or will serve, we say thank you. And God bless you all.
Well, I talked about coming out at half that Atlanta needs to keep some semblance of balance. I mean, this is a 17-10 game, and it's certainly not gotten out of reach. They've run the ball pretty good the last couple series.
Now Ryan up under center will turn and hand it off to Rodgers. And he's able to slip past a couple of would-be tacklers, and that's a gain of 10 on first down by Jacquizz Rodgers. And here we are, the Atlanta Falcons have more rushing yards as we're knocking on the door in the fourth quarter than the Carolina Panthers today. But the Panthers lead. The NFL on Fox will continue after a break from your local Fox station. Ryan, I don't know about you, but I don't know if that bike stands much of a chance.
The coach is coming over and said, look, I've checked the specs on this thing. You ought to maybe get off it. It's because it's wobbling pretty good. But it's going to keep him warm.
It's Corey Peters over there trying to stay loose. Left the game with an injury and is getting ready to come back in. It would be the case. Hand off to Jacquizz Rodgers on first down, and that's a gain of a yard. So we're in the fourth quarter here in Carolina. Certainly the Falcons' season in part hanging in the balance right now, already at 2-5. Only 4 teams have gone to the playoffs after starting a year where they lost 5 of their first 7. Most recently, the Denver Broncos in 2011.
Gonzalez is on the backside here.
Set up a receiver screen, and that had no chance. So 3rd down and 9 against this Carolina defense.
They are delivering. We talked about the physicality of the front 7. Atlanta continues to probe. Isn't getting much. You can see here, just gets stoned at the line of scrimmage. They've created the turnovers that all great defenses do. Then we try to come back and run it again. No, we're putting 1, 2, 3, 4 hats on you. And again, now everybody's getting the app. Putting Michael tipping the ball up to Thomas Davis.
3 for 7 on 3rd down to the Falcons today. This is a 3rd down and 9. Ryan avoids a sack, but he'll still be dropped far short of the first down, and the Falcons will have to punt it.
That was a proverbial covered sack, both early and late in the down. Matt Ryan had no place to go.
First time we've called the name of Charles Johnson today. Johnson had 2 sacks against Tampa Bay a week and a half ago. Injured his groin at the end of that game. They wondered whether or not he would play. What a dynamic tandem Johnson and Hardy have become. Although Ryan has not been sacked so far in the game today. Again bobbles after the fair catch. Nearly an entire quarter to go. A 7-point game in the NFC South. 17-10, 13-29 left to go in Charlotte on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Can't say it enough. This is a very proud Falcons franchise. Mike Smith became head coach. Matt Ryan became their first pick. Went to the playoffs that year. They've been 4 times in the last 5 years. Not to say they can't still get to the playoffs with a loss today, but it would be a huge blow. Juggling the ball and coming down with the football, Jonathan Stewart. And he's up to the 37-yard line, a gain of 3.
Atlanta is doing a nice job. We've already talked about Carolina struggling to run the ball. That's because they're packing the line of scrimmage, which means your secondary has to hold up. After a play fake, there was nothing down the field for Cam Newton to go to.
Well, we were talking about the Denver Broncos in 2011. That was a Tim Tebow-led Broncos. It went 8-8. Jets in 02. The Lions in 95 and New Orleans in 1990. The 4 teams that have started the year 2-5 and still made the playoffs. Second down carry, about a yard, half a yard short of a first down for Jonathan Stewart. Here's where the Panthers have struggled here. Their last number of possessions, 3rd and 4 or less, and they've thrown the ball 15, 20, 25 yards down the field.
Yeah, I'd be shocked here to see anything but a run. They've got their big package in now. Let's remember the last time on this type of short yardage, a 4th and 1, they play action faked, got a touchdown to Greg Olsen. They're either going to do that or go ahead and just pound it in for the first down.
Well, Olsen's in the same place he was when they faked it the last time.
Overloaded the line to the left with the big lineman. Oh, they couldn't get it off. They shifted Jordan Gross from the right side to the left side to overload the line. I'll have to see if it was an illegal shift.
There were 12 players for Atlanta on the defense in formation. This is a 5-yard penalty.
Oh, my
Result
goodness.
in a first down.
Well, if you can't beat them, outnumber them. That's a tough one. You were hoping to get it pushed back. Mike Smith, boy, nothing irritates a coach more. And again, with the young players and the injuries, we talked about Peters down and in and out. Sante Samuel was in it. All of a sudden, you call in a defensive team, and they're not clear. Well, who's up? Who's down? Who's supposed to be in? Peters was in. No, he's down, so I'm supposed to be in. You end up with 12 guys.
Down throw, slant, right at the spot for another first down on the reception by Brandon LaFell.
Well, the quick throws have been the most effective for Cam Newton. He's had to hold on to it and get down the field. It's not been particularly effective today. He's already play action, boot and waggled outside the formation to get shots down the field. They want to get the ball out of his hand. Now, they'd love nothing more than to shove the ball down the throat of the Atlanta Falcons right here and literally run it into the end zone, up by 7.
Carolina ranks #1 in the NFL in time of possession, which of course would make sense when you run the ball as well as they have all year until today. And Newton just continues to miss wide open receivers. This has not been one of the better days for Cam Newton.
Again, it's that high throw. I want you to watch the trajectory of the ball. He's got a strong arm, but watch how flat that thing is. And it's just over the outreached hands of Steve Smith. Again, you want some speed in there coming across the middle of the field. Get up and down quick, as the golfers like to say. But you got to have a little air on. All his balls seem just a little flat today, and therefore out of reach.
22 out of 36, 219 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Stewart looking for running room, and just not much there. Managed to pick up 3 yards. It brings up 3rd down and 7. This is a kind of drive where with a touchdown, you can almost put it on ice. You chew up some more time. I don't mean touchdown right here with 10.5 to go, but you chew up 4 or 5 more minutes and score a touchdown. Ron Rivera knows all about the blown 4th quarter leads over the last 3 years.
You've already seen the range of Gano. That 3 points would make it a 2-score game here.
Blitz coming. Newton hanging in there and finds Brandon LaFell. And he fumbles the football. And it looked like he got it back. Boy, you talk about a fortunate bounce. It was stripped by Asante Samuel. It hits the ground and falls right into the arms of LaFell. Unbelievable.
Wow. And this is where, for the Carolina Panthers, you figure we're just living right for Atlanta. What can we do? LaFell's at the bottom of your screen. This thing comes in with some heat just to the outside shoulder. Samuel doesn't give up. Gets that strip on the back end. And now you can see Alford come in. He just can't quite scoop it in. He actually kind of scoops it right back into the hands of Alford, or excuse me, of Brandon LaFell. The ball comes out. And you can watch him take a swipe at it, trying to get it under control, and literally delivers it into the chest of Brandon LaFell.
Great hustle played there by Samuel, who was beat on the play. And now Newton to run it. And he will find the end zone. And he's looking for a little one to give the ball to. Congratulations, young man. That is the 18th career game where Newton has run for a touchdown, thrown for a touchdown. And you're talking about in 2.5 years. Second only to Michael Vick. A 14-point lead after the carry by Cam Newton into the end zone. I mean, through all of his ups and downs, some of the numbers are just staggering that Cam Newton has put up in 2.5 years as a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and a lot of those, obviously, a lot more runs than the guys, three guys in front of them, obviously. Doesn't matter how you get there. With your arm and with your legs, they all still count.
And really, that is a difference when you have a guy like Newton who can run the ball. You may not be having a great passing day,
particularly in the red zone that we talked about. That's so key.
And if you're a kid growing up in these parts, you want your Panthers to win, but you want Cam Newton scoring touchdowns.
Look at the pure joy in this kid's face.
Well, watch Mom here.
I'm not sure who's enjoying it more, Mom or the kid.
Brothers and sisters getting in. Watch this.
She tried to steal the ball from the kid.
Family reunion.
Take it away.
Today's game is sponsored by the new windows.
So now Matt Ryan and the Falcons in desperation mode. With under 9 minutes to play, they lay it off to Steven Jackson, a first down.
Now you got to go back. Brandon LaFell gets the ball stripped by Asante Samuel. Ball gets pushed right back to him, luckily, by Alford. Brandon LaFell, right place, right time. And then Cam Newton coming off the right side. Big Nate Chandler and Ryan Khalil leading the way into the end zone.
No huddle. Down by 14 and going the other way. And that is into the end zone. A touchdown for Drayton Florence. Florence signed prior to week 3. Was not on a roster when this season began.
The 11-year veteran was all over this. They brought him back in when they had all the injuries. He saw exactly what was happening. Has not seen that kind of open field for quite a long time.
He's had an excellent career as Florence. 148 games, 100 of those as a starter. Last year in Detroit, spent time in San Diego, Jacksonville, Buffalo. And now the point after. And the Carolina Panthers, with a 21-point lead, are now 8 minutes and 30 seconds away from going to 5-3 on the season after losing their first 2 games of this season.
Tom, it's going according to script. You laid it out. We started the fourth quarter. It was 17-10. Atlanta has struggled in the fourth quarter because they've gotten behind the count a little bit. Carolina, in kind of an odd play, works it down the field, gets a score. Now Matt Ryan having to force something. Drayton Florence seeing this quick out just to get a drive started. I just want to punch a hole in this defense. Interception, pick six, and now all of a sudden you look up, it's 31-10.
Only Eli Manning of the New York Giants has thrown more fourth quarter interceptions this year than Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan kind of stared that down from the get-go. Drayton Florence clearly with his eyes on Matt Ryan. Broke on the ball beautifully. Gotta love this 11-year veteran on the street. Kind of figured maybe I'm done, born again, so to speak, as he gets to come back to Carolina. Life's pretty good for him right now.
Well, you know, Brian, you or I were here after. You know, we talk about the heartbreaking losses. I think a lot of people forget Carolina had Seattle beat in week 1 here.
And then Buffalo the next week.
Fumbled the football going in for the win at the 8-yard line. The following week, they decide to kick a field goal on 4th and 1 to go up 6 in Buffalo with a minute and a half left. Buffalo went down the field without a timeout and scored on the final play of the game, sending the Panthers to 0-2. You and I come to town. 0-2 matchup of Carolina against the winless New York Giants. There were stories being written, talk radio here in Charlotte. Ron Rivera, should he be run out of town? Should Cam Newton be run out of town? And that game, so far, has gotten it all turned around.
And it permeated the entire building. You walked in and you could feel it. You knew this organization was under pressure, but a big win against the New York Giants, and it just seemed to steamroll from then. A little bit of a setback when they went to Arizona and all the turnovers that Cam Newton had. But outside of that, since that time, this team has taken on the personality of its head coach. They're physical. They play good defense. They run the ball. Cam Newton's been solid, not spectacular, but solid. Had a couple turnovers today, but this is a team that's got success written all over it right now.
And don't look now, and granted there's still a long way to go, nearly an entire quarter to play. But the New York Jets are leading the Saints by 9. There's a big shot delivered by Kuechly again. But should the Jets hold off New Orleans in that game, Brian, don't look now. This Carolina team would be 1 game out of first place.
Well, we talk about with New Orleans playing as well as they have, that Carolina's kind of gone into the wild card division with all those NFC North teams. You got to assume San Francisco and Seattle, one of those is going to be the wild card, one win the division. But you're exactly right, Tom. If New Orleans stumbles in New York, they could be thinking about legitimately the division as they go in and play San Francisco next week.
And dropped is Matt Ryan. And there to get him, Charles Johnson, his 7th sack of the year. We had a great article about Charles Johnson in the local paper here today. Grew up in rural Georgia, in Hawkinsville, Georgia, about 125 miles southeast of Atlanta. And now he wants nothing to do with a spotlight. Never been to a Pro Bowl, despite the fact that his numbers have been better than a lot of guys going to the Pro Bowl over the last 3 years. And he drops Ryan. First sack today for the Panthers. 6:38 away from a 5th win. Not celebrating quite yet, but a few smiles over on that sideline. Panthers with the ball in front 31-10. D'Angelo Williams up to the 38-yard line. Well, we talked a lot about Carolina. You know, you look to the other sideline, and we talked about the regime of Thomas Dimitroff, the general manager, Mike Smith, the head coach, Matt Ryan. They all came on board the same year in 2008. 58 wins over the last 5 years. That's the 2nd most wins among all teams in the NFL. Second only to New England. They had a loss here today. And the Falcons go to 2-5. Second down carry by Williams, and he's short of a first down.
Well, this is what happens when you struggle as a team. Matt Ryan trying to make something happen, throws an interception up to Luke Kuechly. This one uncharacteristically gets tipped up in the air. And this one, Drayton Florence all over for the interception for the touchdown. Matt Ryan trying to push this organization through the difficulty you just alluded to, Tom, to try to avoid that 2-6 start.
3rd down and 2. Tolbert appears to have enough for a 1st down, but if you're the head coach, when you're 2-6, there is a penalty flag down. This could be a face mask against Atlanta.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, defense number 52. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Automatic 1st down.
How are you challenging your team to go the rest of the way?
Well, and here you can see the face mask just the last little bit gets turned. Mike Smith, you know, the expectations, you come in off a 13-3 season. You have the best record in the NFL with the high expectations. Tony Gonzalez comes back because of those expectations. Now sitting here, if indeed this holds at a 2-6, Mike Smith, this is not a stand in front of your team, give a speech, and we'll be okay. This is a day-by-day, minute-by-minute with every player, coach, administrator, equipment guy. You've got to work it almost on a daily basis. We got to push forward. We got to be professional. There's something to be gained by fighting every week. Let's just go to the next opponent. They got the Seattle Seahawks coming to town. Not an easy battle. This is going to be the charge of Mike Smith. Every minute of every day to the end of the season, holding this organization together.
Over a gain of close to 10, depending on the spot on 1st down. Clock under 5 minutes to go. Of course, you had a year like that. When your 2006 Baltimore Ravens, you went 13-3, got beaten in the playoffs. Next year, you lost a season opener in Cincinnati. You lost a pile of players to injuries, and then you were out of a job.
Well, Mike Smith doesn't have to worry about that, what he's done in Atlanta. But you're right. You go in, you lose your starting quarterback, 3/5 of your offensive line, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and it's, yeah, we know you had a lot of injuries, but yeah, I think it's time to go. That's not going to happen to Mike Smith, this organization, the turnaround that they've done. But make no mistake, it's going to be an uphill battle for them the rest of the way.
I tell you, it's not being, unprofessional or rooting for anybody. We'll talk more about this in a minute. Let's check in first with Kurt Benefit.
One of the toughest 11-yard runs you'll ever see. Adrian Peterson somehow keeps his balance and drags defenders into the end zone, giving Minnesota the lead. They missed the extra point, so it's a 3-point contest, 4.5 to go, down in Dallas. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. We're starting to talk about, there are a lot of good guys in his coaching profession, Brian, and these are two of the very best. They are very easy guys to root for here in Mike Smith and in Ron Rivera. Breaking it to the outside, Jonathan Stewart, he'll stay in bounds. And that is a 1st down as he's down to the 8-yard line. I guess he wound up out of bounds. He looked like he's trying to slide his way back to the inside, but got shoved out of bounds on a tackle.
You can see right here with 11 consecutive 100 yards. This is what Carolina's built for, this type of game. To get control in the second half, to pound away. Ron Rivera, defensive coach, defensive-minded coach. This is exactly not unlike John Fox before him. This was the MO. They have the dynamic play at quarterback as well in Cam Newton.
D'Angelo Williams dragged down to the 5. We look ahead to next week. You and I have that game, Carolina and San Francisco, and I tell you what, in this day and age of throwing the ball 50 times a game and spread formations and empty backfields, there's going to be some big league hitting going on next week. Fox NFL Sunday, the Falcons are home to face the Seahawks, a rematch of the playoffs from last year. And we will be in San Francisco. It begins with a Fox NFL kickoff show, 11 Eastern. Fox Sports 1, then Fox NFL Sunday at noon.
Well, I'm really looking forward, Tom, to just the game that you and I are talking about in San Francisco next week. Two of the most physical teams that you're going to see in the NFL. It's going to be one of those games where you stand at the 50, I'll stand at the 50. I'll hit you in the face, you hit me in the face. We'll just keep going back and back. This should be quite a game next week in San Francisco.
Clock winding down to the 2-minute warning. A lot of happy folks in Tar Heel blue here today. 31-10. 2 minutes to go in Carolina. 3rd down and goal from inside the 5. Williams stopped at the 1. This is the first time in Carolina Panthers franchise history where they have scored 30 points or more in 4 consecutive games. And the players trying to coach Ron Rivera into going for it from the 2-yard line. They spied it. He says no.
Does that define the difference in attitude? A month ago they'd just be happy for a 2-point win. Now they're all booing because they don't want you to kick a field goal to make it 34-10. Full applaud down.
Graham Gano making it 34-10. Well, time permitting, with 1:13 left, we'll bring you bonus coverage of the conclusion of Minnesota at Dallas. Minnesota with a 3-point lead with 3:41 to go. Owner and founder, former NFL player Jerry Richardson, enjoying this one. And Arthur Blank, of course, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, after a really good run here over the last 5 years. They've had a winning season in each of the last 5 years. About to go to 4 games under the 500 mark at the midway point of the season. This one of his Panther team, Brian, has not been over 500 since the last time they went to the playoffs in 2008.
In this division, I mean, how do you figure they haven't had back-to-back champions since they realigned in 2002?
Yeah.
So it's okay who's up this time. Could very well be the Carolina Panthers.
Rodgers will bring it out of the end zone and tackle to the 29. Coming up tonight on Fox Sports Live. Join Jay and Dan. They'll recap all today's action around the NFL, updated BCS rankings, news and highlights from the opening weekend of the NBA. And don't miss Fox Sports Live tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Our game produced today by Bob Stenner, directed by Greg Scopatone. Technical producer Bob Mueller. Technical director is Dean Crawford. That's a completed pass for a gain of 1. Our replay producer is Mark Titleman. Associate director Yvonne Wagner. Broadcast associate Jordan Wolf. Thank our spotter Scott Snyder. Our stats crew chief Tom Barbary right up here in the booth, along with Eric Norton and Mike Eldridge down in the truck. And we'd like to wish a happy 50th birthday to Jasper Barone. Travels with us each and every week. The pride of South Florida, celebrating number 50 today. Jasper, happy birthday, young man. Well, he looks good, doesn't he? For 50?
He's 50?
Hard to believe.
You don't need to be cameraman.
You're right. Greg Scopatone celebrating a birthday as well over the weekend, and we certainly hope he's enjoyed it. Good man.
Tony Gonzalez is going to have to be one of those people we're talking about holding this organization together. Ron Rivera, he's up 34-10, and he's still coaching. Right up here. No, move over there. There's 3 seconds left. We don't want to give this thing away.
Bonus coverage for many of you upcoming. This will be the final play of the game here in Carolina. Panthers will go to 5-3 with a date in San Francisco. That'll be some smash mouth football. Final play of the game, a fumble recovered by Carolina, and that's all she wrote. 34-10. Ron Rivera's team going to 5-3 on the year. A bit more to go from Charlotte in a moment.